Understanding the shadow, your untapped power. What is your shadow? The hidden part of you everyone ignores. There's a part of you you rarely talk about. A part that doesn't show up in the selfies, the job interviews, the conversations with friends. It's the version of you that holds your fear, your anger, your insecurities, and the thoughts you wish you didn't have. That part, that's your shadow. It's not just some deep, mystical idea. It's real. It's the part of your mind where everything you've pushed down goes to hide. The stuff you were told was too much, too weird, or too wrong. But just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's gone. The shadow doesn't disappear. It waits, and the longer you ignore it, the more power it builds in the dark. This hidden part isn't here to destroy you. It's here to be understood, to be seen, and eventually, to be used. Breaking the myth, the shadow is not your enemy. Let me tell you something. Your shadow isn't evil. It's not a curse. It's not broken. It's misunderstood. Most people hear shadow and think weakness, shame, something to avoid. But that's the lie that keeps you stuck. Your shadow is simply the parts of you that were never accepted, never welcomed. That raw emotion, that intense drive, that deep fear. It's not bad. It's fuel. The problem isn't the shadow. The problem is pretending it's not there. The more you hide it, the more it takes control behind the scenes. But when you face it, when you own it, you stop being at war with yourself. You start speaking the full truth, not just the polished part. And that's where the strength begins. You don't need to fight your shadow. You need to learn from it, face it or be controlled. The choice you make every day, every morning, whether you know it or not, you make a choice. Face your darkness, or let it run the show. If you don't face your anger, it shows up as bitterness. If you don't face your fear, it shows up as hesitation. If you don't face your insecurity, it shows up as fake confidence or silent retreat. You think you're in control, but your shadow's pulling the string. Here's the truth. If you don't take the wheel, your hidden side will, and it doesn't care where it drives you. But when you face it head on, when you stop pretending, stop running, you take that control back. You decide how your story plays out. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming all of you. Because the parts you fear most often hold the power you need most. The iceberg beneath the surface. What you don't see shapes you. Think of yourself like an iceberg. What people see, your smile, your resume, your attitude, is just the tip. But the real map, the part beneath the surface, that's your shadow. It's everything unspoken, everything unfaced, everything unresolved. And just like with real icebergs, it's not the part above water that causes the damage. It's what's below. The things you've buried, your jealousy, your guilt, your shame, they still shape how you act, speak and feel. They influence the way you trust people, the way you chase success, the way you respond under pressure. But here's the good news. Once you learn to dive below the surface, once you stop fearing what's underneath, you can start shaping it instead of it shaping you. You don't need to be afraid of what's hidden. You just need to stop pretending it's not there. When you deny your shadow, you feed doubt and self-sabotage. Here's what happens when you deny your shadow. You stay stuck in loops. You question your worth after every small mistake. You sabotage good things because you think you don't deserve them. You overthink, undercommit, pull back, lash out, and you don't even know why. It's because there's a part of you screaming for attention, a part that's tired of being silenced, and until you stop ignoring it, it'll keep showing up in your habits, your emotions, and your choices. This is where mental exhaustion comes from. You're not weak, you're just divided. One part of you is trying to grow, while another part is trying to be heard. The moment you stop running is the moment those parts align. You start moving in one direction. You stop tripping over yourself. That's what happens when you make peace with your shadow. You finally move forward without dragging your own weight. Look inside. What are you hiding from yourself? So let me ask you, what are you hiding from yourself? What thoughts do you quickly push away? What patterns do you keep repeating? What traits in others make you angry? Because deep down, they reflect something in you. This isn't about guilt. This is about honesty. You can't change what you won't face. You can't build strength on top of silence. Look in the mirror, not just at your face, but at your fear, at your pain, at your jealousy, your rage, your regret, because buried under all of that is truth, and truth is power. You can't rise if half of you is buried, and you can't lead your life if you're still hiding from pieces of it. This is your chance to look deeper, not with judgment, but with courage, the kind of courage that turns shadows into stepping stones. Claim your power. Your shadow is your superpower waiting to be used. Your shadow isn't weakness, it's raw power. It holds your passion, your hunger, your honesty, the kind you've been taught to tone down, lock up or throw away. But guess what? That's your edge. That's the fire you've been needing. You don't have to keep pretending you're fine when you're not. You don't have to hide your flaws, your history, or your fight. You just have to use it. Because once you claim your shadow, you stop playing small. You stop apologizing for your strength. You stop fearing yourself. The world doesn't need another fake smile. It needs someone who's done hiding. That someone is you. And your shadow, that's your superpower. If you're bold enough to use it. Why we run from ourselves, the mental weakness trap, the usual escape routes, how denial and distraction keep you trapped. We all run, but we don't all run the same way. Some people run with distraction, staying busy so they never have to think. Some run with addiction, numbing the pain with scrolling, food or substances. Others run through blame, anger or constant chaos, anything to avoid stillness. Then there's denial, telling yourself I'm fine when deep down you know you're not. Laughing off what hurts, shrinking what matters. But no matter which route you take, they all lead to the same place, stuck. These escapes might feel safe, but they're not saving you. They're slowly disconnecting you from yourself, from growth, from truth. And the longer you run, the harder it is to remember what you were running from in the first place. These traps don't protect you, they trap you. Why do we run so hard from who we really are? Ask yourself, why are we so afraid to meet our real selves? Is it the pain, the shame, the fear that if we really looked inside we might not like what we see? Or maybe it's because deep down we've been taught that we are only lovable when we're perfect, that showing fear means failure, that admitting weakness means you're broken. So we run, not because we're cowards, but because we've been trained to believe the truth is dangerous, that if we're honest about our struggle, it'll destroy us. But here's what no one told you. Facing yourself doesn't break you, it builds you. You're not running from darkness, you're running from your own power, buried under fear. It's time to turn around. The high cost of avoidance, exhaustion, stagnation and failure cycles. Avoidance isn't free, it charges you every single day. You feel tired all the time, not just physically, but mentally, like you're dragging something invisible. You keep hitting the same walls, repeating the same patterns, wondering why nothing sticks. You avoid the truth long enough, and it becomes a weight on your back, a silent thief, stealing your drive, your clarity, your peace. You start things but don't finish. You push people away. You stay in your comfort zone. But even comfort becomes painful when it stops you from growing. This is the hidden cost of mental weakness. You're not just avoiding pain, you're avoiding your future. You're stuck in the same loop, not because you're lazy, but because your shadow's calling and you're too afraid to answer. That silence, it's expensive, and it's robbing you daily. Listen up. If you don't own your darkness, it will own you. Let me say this plain. If you don't face your darkness, it will run your life. You can dress it up, ignore it, pretend it's not there, but it's always watching. It'll show up in your relationships, your decisions, your inner voice. That anger you don't deal with, it leaks out. That shame you hide, it turns into fear. That pain you suppress, it finds a new way to speak. And here's the truth you can't dodge. Whatever you refuse to own will end up owning you. But the moment you stop running, everything shifts. When you say, yeah, that's part of me, but it's not all of me, you take your power back. You're not perfect, but you're present. And that presence, that's where your real strength lives. This isn't about fixing yourself, it's about owning all of yourself, especially the parts you've been told to fear. Quicksand of the mind. Why running only sinks you deeper? Running from your shadow is like trying to escape quicksand. The more you fight it, the deeper you sink. At first, avoidance feels like relief. You distract yourself, and the pressure goes away for a while. But slowly the ground beneath you starts to give. The harder you resist the truth, the more trapped you become in anxiety, guilt, regret, and frustration. You want peace, but you've made war with your own reflection. You want freedom, but you're trapped by the very things you're avoiding. The escape isn't outside of you, it's through you. You don't get out by running faster. You get out by standing still and facing what's there. Because once you face it, it loses its grip. You stop sinking. And finally, you rise. The challenge you can't ignore. Stop running and start facing today. There's a challenge in front of you right now, and you can't outrun it anymore. It's not a mountain. It's not a person. It's not the world. It's you. And it's time to face what you've been dodging. What thought have you been avoiding? What truth scares you? What pain have you buried so deep it only shows up in silence? Stop, breathe, and look it in the eye. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need years of healing before you take the first step. You just need courage. The courage to stop lying to yourself. Start with one honest moment, one brave truth, one shadow faced, without fear. Because once you stop running, everything changes. Not all at once, but enough to move forward, enough to grow. And that's all you ever needed. The breakthrough. How Jung's trick works. The secret trick to mental strength. Shadow integration explained. Carl Jung gave us a trick. One that's not loud, not flashy, but life-changing. It's called shadow integration. Here's what it means. Instead of fighting your darkness, you bring it into the light. You stop ignoring, avoiding, or pretending those parts of you don't exist. You invite them in. You listen. You learn. Shadow integration isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming whole. All of you. Not just the edited version. The fear, the drive, the pain, the power. They're all pieces of the same puzzle. This is the trick people miss. They chase surface-level fixes, when the real breakthrough is waiting in the parts they've buried. When you do this work, you don't just become mentally strong. You become steady, clear, focused. That's what shadow integration is. Not running from your mind, but mastering it from the inside out. Stop fighting. Start inviting the new relationship with your darkness. Most people fight their shadow like it's a monster. They deny, resist, and try to crush what they don't like in themselves. But that fight only makes the shadow stronger. Here's the shift. Stop fighting. Start inviting. What if you sat down with your anger and asked, what are you trying to protect? What if you looked at your envy and asked, what does this show me about what I want? This isn't weakness. This is wisdom. Inviting doesn't mean letting it control you. It means learning from it. Your shadow is part of your mind. You can't grow stronger by cutting pieces of yourself off. Strength comes from understanding. When you start inviting instead of resisting, you take the tension out of your life. You stop battling your mind and start leading. And that's where real power begins. Step 1. Awareness. Spotting your shadow traits. You can't change what you don't see. That's why the first step is awareness. Look at your triggers. The people who irritate you. The moments that shut you down. The thoughts you avoid. That's where your shadow hides. Maybe you lash out when you feel ignored. Maybe you pull away when you feel vulnerable. Maybe you judge people who remind you of parts of yourself you haven't accepted. This isn't about shame. It's about curiosity. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what's hiding beneath this? Start paying attention to your patterns. Not with blame, but with honesty. Every time you feel that emotional spike, pause. There's a shadow there. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's a truth you haven't admitted yet. Awareness opens the door. You don't need all the answers right away. You just need the courage to look. Step 2. Acceptance. Drop the judgment. Embrace the truth. Once you see your shadow, the next step is crucial. Acceptance. Not approval. Not excuses. Just truth. You have to stop judging yourself for being human. You're not broken because you feel anger. You're not weak because you feel fear. These are human responses, not character flaws. The moment you drop judgment, you create space for real growth, because judgment keeps you stuck. It says, I'm not allowed to feel this, which only pushes it deeper. But acceptance, that's where you breathe again. You look at your pain and say, I see you. You acknowledge your darkness, without letting it define you. That's not giving up. It's taking back control. Because when you stop hiding from your truth, you stop hiding from your strength. You don't need to love every part of you, but you do need to stop pretending parts of you don't exist. Step 3. Dialogue. Talk to your shadow. Listen honestly. Now it's time to talk. Not to the world, but to yourself, to the part of you that's been waiting to be heard. This isn't about drama. It's about understanding. Sit with your shadow. Ask it questions. Why are you angry? What are you afraid of? What are you trying to protect? You'll be surprised what comes up. Sometimes it's pain from years ago. Sometimes it's a belief you picked up as a child. Sometimes it's something you've never dared to say out loud. And here's the key. Don't argue. Just listen. Let it speak. Let it reveal what's been buried. Because the shadow doesn't go away through force. It goes away through conversation. When you build that inner dialogue, you gain clarity. You learn what drives you, what stops you, what you actually want. This is how you lead yourself. You don't silence the shadow. You guide it. Step 4. Integration. Turning shadow traits into your power. Now comes the final move. Integration. This is where everything changes. You've seen your shadow. You've listened. Now you take what you've learned and use it. That fear, it taught you how much you care. That anger, it showed you what matters to you. That insecurity, it revealed where your work begins. Integration means turning shadow into strategy. It means letting your past pain drive your present purpose. It means using what you used to hide as a tool, not a chain. Look at every trait you once ran from and ask, how can this serve me? Maybe your stubbornness becomes resilience. Your envy becomes drive. Your guilt becomes compassion. You're not here to be flawless. You're here to be full of truth, of depth, of power. And that power comes when you stop rejecting your shadow and start using it. Real-life examples, legends who embraced their shadows and won. Think of people who changed the world. They didn't do it by being perfect. They did it by owning their whole story. Michael Jordan used being cut from his high school team as fuel to dominate the court. Oprah faced rejection, trauma, and deep shame, but she turned her pain into purpose. Even someone like Martin Luther King Jr. spoke openly about his fears, his doubts, but he didn't let them stop him. He led anyway. These weren't flawless heroes. They were people who faced themselves. They turned shadow into strength, and that same power is inside you. You don't need a stage. You just need the courage to stop pretending. The world doesn't need perfect people. It needs people who are real and ready. Your mental workout, the hidden strength no one talks about. Everyone talks about physical strength, routines, and success habits. But this is the mental workout that actually matters. Shadow work builds a kind of strength that isn't loud, but it's solid. You walk into a room differently. You respond instead of react. You speak from truth instead of fear. This is quiet strength, deep strength. It's not always visible, but it shows up when life gets loud. Doing this work daily is like lifting mental weights. You get stronger, more stable, more grounded. And the best part, no one can take it from you. This is the strength that lasts, and it's built in silence, honesty, and courage. Reflect now. What shadow trait will you claim as strength? So ask yourself, what's one trait you've been hiding that you could turn into power? Is it your anger, your fear, your drive, your sensitivity? Look at it again, not as a problem, but as a piece of the puzzle. What can it teach you? How can it fuel you? You've run from it long enough. Now it's time to face it and use it. Because once you claim your shadow, you're no longer afraid of yourself. And when you stop fearing yourself, there's nothing left to run from, only everything to rise into. The daily mental unstoppable routine, 900 words. Build your mental gym, daily habits that forge strength. If you want to be mentally strong, it's not about one big moment. It's about what you do every day. Your mind, just like your body, needs training. You don't build muscle by hitting the gym once a month, and you don't build resilience by facing yourself once a year. It's daily work, quiet work, consistent work. This is your mental gym. Every thought you choose, every habit you repeat, every moment you face, instead of avoid, it all adds up. You don't rise by accident. You rise by building, slowly, intentionally. If your day has space for your phone, your job, your distractions, it has space for your mind, and your mind is the one thing you can't afford to neglect. Because when your mind is strong, everything else follows. Journaling your shadows, tracking triggers and hidden thoughts. Start here. Pick up a pen, and don't write what looks good. Write what's real. What triggered you today? What moment made your chest tighten? Your voice rise? Your mood shift? That's where your shadow lives, and writing it down makes it visible. You don't need paragraphs. Just be honest. I felt jealous when I got angry because I shut down when they said, this isn't about solving it. It's about spotting it. When you track your shadows, you stop letting them sneak up on you. Your journal becomes your mirror. You get to see what you've been carrying. And once you see it, you can choose what to do with it. Don't write for perfection. Write for truth. That's how you start building self-awareness. And self-awareness is the first step towards strength. Mindfulness and meditation. Watch your thoughts without judgment. Here's a practice that'll change everything. Watch your thoughts without reacting. Mindfulness isn't about sitting in silence for hours. It's about catching yourself in the moment. It's about hearing the voice in your head and choosing not to obey it blindly. When anger rises, notice it. When fear shows up, observe it. You don't push it down or act on it. You just watch, like clouds passing in the sky. The more you do this, the more space you create between trigger and response. That space, that's your power. You stop reacting on autopilot. You start responding with intention. This isn't magic. It's mental training. And over time, it rewires your mind to respond with strength, not panic. That's how you become the leader of your thoughts, not the follower. Flip the script, reframing negative self-talk into power statements. You talk to yourself more than anyone else. So the question is, what are you? If your inner voice constantly says, I can't, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, you're feeding weakness, and what you feed grows. It's time to flip the script, not with fake positivity, but with real grounded I can't do this becomes I haven't mastered this yet. I always fail becomes I've learned through every fall. I'm not enough becomes I'm still becoming, and that's enough for today. You don't silence the voice, you retrain it, because your mind listens to your words, and your words shape your direction. Speak power. Even if your voice shakes, speak truth, even if it's hard. That's how you stop tearing yourself down and start building yourself up. Daily shadow check-in. What did you avoid today? Here's a question to ask yourself every night. What did I avoid today? What conversation did you dodge? What emotion did you stuff down? What task did you ignore? Avoidance doesn't go away on its own. It piles up, and what you avoid becomes the anchor that holds you back. A daily check-in keeps you honest. It doesn't shame you. It sharpens you. You start to see your patterns. You catch yourself sooner. You take responsibility faster. Write it down. Reflect on it. And if it's something small, face it tomorrow. If it's something big, start chipping away. Avoidance grows in the dark, but when you shine a light on it, you shrink its power. Ask yourself, what are you feeding your mind every day? Every day your mind is being fed. The only question is, what are you feeding it? Is it drama, fear, noise and distraction? Or is it truth, reflection, honesty and strength? You can't expect clarity if your mind's full of clutter. You can't expect courage if your thoughts are soaked in fear. Garbage in, garbage out. Power in, power out. You choose your input. You choose what you listen to, what you read, what you scroll past. And over time, those tiny choices shape your beliefs, your mood, your mindset. So ask again, what are you feeding your mind today? And is it making you stronger or weaker? Words are seeds. Plant the right thoughts. Harvest strength. Words are seeds, and your mind is the soil. Every word you speak, especially to yourself, plants something. Doubt plants hesitation. Shame plants fear. But truth plants strength. You don't see the results right away, but over time, your inner world starts to shift. You begin to think differently, respond differently, stand taller, plant statements like, I can grow from this. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep showing up. My past doesn't control me. My choices do. Plant what you want to grow. Speak what you want to become. Because when your inner words are strong, your outer world starts to follow. No shortcuts. No excuses. Consistency is your true power. This isn't about doing it once. This is about doing it daily. You don't get strong by hitting the gym once. You get strong by showing up, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when it's hard, especially when no one's watching. There's no shortcut to mental strength, and there's no magic fix, but there is a formula. Honesty, action, repetition. That's it. The people who rise aren't the most talented. They're the most consistent. They don't wait to feel motivated. They just show up. So if you're tired of starting over, stop quitting. If you want change, don't chase intensity. Build discipline. Your daily actions will take you further than any spark of inspiration ever could. Show up every day. This is your mental gym. Transform your... This is your mental gym. And you don't need equipment. You need honesty, effort, and the courage to keep going. Every day you show up. By writing, reflecting, facing, reframing, you build strength. Maybe it's invisible at first, but it's happening. You're becoming less reactive, more focused, more grounded. You're no longer running from yourself. You're meeting yourself. Transformation doesn't happen with one breakthrough. It happens with hundreds of silent victories. One page written, one truth faced, one reaction paused. This is the real work. It's not easy, but it's yours. And every time you show up, you remind yourself, I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still becoming. Keep showing up, because this is how the unstoppable mind is built. The power of truth. Owning your whole self. Why truth is non-negotiable. Growth dies in the soil of lies. You can't build strength on lies. Not even small ones. Not even the ones you tell yourself to get through the day. Because every lie, every time you pretend, minimize, or look away, builds distance between who you are and who you could be. Growth needs truth like plants need sunlight. Without it, your potential withers. You stay stuck in pattern. You keep chasing change, while avoiding the one thing that creates it. Honesty. Truth isn't a luxury. It's a requirement. You can't outwork what you won't face. Until you're real about what's holding you back, you'll keep reliving the same stories with different faces, different jobs, different distractions. Want to grow? Start with this. Tell the truth, especially to yourself. Always, to yourself. Truth's double edge. Brutal yet, the only door to freedom. Let's not sugarcoat it. Truth can cut. It exposes. It stings. It demands change. But here's the paradox. The same truth that breaks your illusions is also the truth that sets you free. Facing your truth isn't easy, but neither is living a life that isn't yours. Pretending, performing, hiding. It's exhausting. Truth feels harsh because it doesn't flatter you. It doesn't care about comfort. It cares about clarity. And clarity is power. When you're honest, you know where you stand. You know what needs work. You stop guessing and start growing. Avoiding truth delays pain, but it also delays progress. Accepting truth feels heavy, but it lifts the weight of pretending. If you want freedom, you don't go around truth. You walk through it. Eyes open. Head. Ask yourself, what truths are you running from right now? Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what are you avoiding? What truth keeps knocking that you keep silencing? Maybe it's that you're not happy. Maybe it's that your fear runs your choices. Maybe it's that your past still owns too much of your present. What belief have you outgrown, but still cling to? What habit drains you but feels too familiar to let go? These aren't easy questions, but they're the ones that unlock change. Don't just think about your goal. Think about your truths. Are you willing to face what stands in the way? Because the longer you run from the truth, the longer you run in circles. Stop. Turn around. Ask the hard question. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. The consequences of avoiding truth. Building on sand. When you avoid truth, you don't just delay growth. You build on a weak foundation. You build relationships without honesty, and wonder why they collapse. You make plans without clarity, and wonder why they fall apart. Avoiding truth is like building a house on sand. It might stand for a while, but the first storm will bring it down. You pretend you're fine when you're breaking. You say you're over it when you're not. You chase dreams you don't even want because you're too scared to admit what you do want. And then one day, it all cracks. Not because you weren't capable, but because you weren't honest. Truth isn't just a principle, it's a foundation. Without it, everything else is shaky. Face the truth now or be broken by it later. That's the deal. No shortcuts. No way around. Make truth your foundation. No matter how uncomfortable, truth doesn't always feel good, but it always does good. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be honest. That's where real power begins. Start where it hurts. Start with what feels embarrassing, painful, or heavy. That's the exact place growth is waiting. Say it out loud. I'm struggling. I've been hiding. I've been lying to myself. That's not weakness. That's courage. Because once you name it, you can face it. And once you face it, you can rise. Make truth your standard. Not comfort, not approval, not ease. Truth. Every day, ask yourself, what's real for me right now? That question will keep you grounded. You don't need to fix everything at once. Just stop pretending. That's the beginning of everything you want. Own your whole self, or be owned by your shadows. Here's the bottom line. Either you own your truth, or your shadow owns you. You can't be mentally strong while hiding parts of yourself in the dark. You can't lead your life while pretending you don't feel what you feel, want what you want, fear what you fear. When you avoid your truth, your shadow runs the show. Quietly, subtly, powerfully. It shows up in how you speak, how you react, how you limit yourself. But when you own your truth, everything changes. You speak from power. You act from clarity. You stand tall, even in discomfort. Owning your whole self doesn't mean you love every part. It means you refuse to run from any part. You get to decide, live as a full, real version of yourself, or stay trapped in a life built on fear. Choose truth, choose power, choose you. The ripple effect, mental unstoppability in life. Mental strength changes everything, from relationships to work and health. When your mind becomes strong, everything else starts to follow. Think about it. How do you show up in your relationships when you're reactive, insecure, or carrying unspoken pain? Now think about how different it feels when you're calm, grounded, and aware of your triggers. Mental strength doesn't just help you survive stress. It changes how you live. You communicate clearer. You listen better. You stop taking things so personally. In your work, you stop doubting and start delivering. You stop waiting for permission and start leading. In your health, you stop using pressure or shame to change and start honoring yourself through discipline and focus. This is the ripple effect. You change your mind, and your world begins to change with it. Not by force, but by alignment. Because when your mind is steady, your life stops feeling like a storm. Be the lighthouse. Guide your world with inner unstoppability. A lighthouse doesn't move. It doesn't chase ships or react to waves. It just stands, lit up, solid, unshaken. That's what mental strength does. It makes you a lighthouse in your world. People will still face storms. Challenges will still show up. But your presence, it becomes a guide, a signal, a reminder of what stability looks like. When you hold your ground, not through anger, not through pride, but through clarity, you influence everything around you. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You don't need to control others to lead. You just need to become unshakable inside. That's when you lead by example. That's when people feel your presence without you saying a word. Be the lighthouse. Let your mental strength light the way for yourself first, and then for everyone watching. Real stories, real change. What happens when you master your mind? Let's talk about what happens when people stop running and start mastering their minds. A single mother, once buried in guilt and fear, starts journaling her shadows and flipping her self-talk. Over time, she rebuilds her confidence. Her kids don't just see a parent, they see a warrior. A young man who battled anger and shame starts meditating and asking himself daily, what am I feeding my mind? He stops exploding on others. He starts listening. He builds real friendships for the first time. A burned-out professional once terrified of failure faces her truth. She's chasing a life she doesn't even want. She rewrites her story, starts her own business. Her health improves. Her smile comes back. This isn't magic. It's not luck. It's the power of a trained mind. Master your mind, and you stop being controlled by life. You start creating it. Ask yourself, what could you achieve if your mind was your greatest ally? What if your mind wasn't the thing holding you back, but the thing lifting you up? What if instead of battling your thoughts, you could use them as fuel? Instead of doubting your worth, you could speak with certainty. What projects would you start? What habits would you break? Who would you finally become? Most people never find out because they never stop the war going on inside. But imagine this. Your mind becomes your strongest ally. It supports you, reminds you, keeps you focused, doesn't let you spiral or quit. What would be possible for you then? That version of you. It's not fiction. It's not far away. It's waiting. And it starts the moment you decide to train your mind the same way you train a muscle, with daily effort, honesty, and intention. Visualize your future self, strong, clear, and unstoppable. Close your eyes, really think. Who do you want to be 1 year from now? Not the fake version you show the world, the real version. The one who doesn't flinch in chaos. The one who speaks truth without fear. The one who walks into a room and brings peace. Not because they're loud, but because they're steady. Picture that version of you waking up. They don't scroll. They reflect. They lead their day, not react to it. When doubt creeps in, they catch it. When fear rises, they face it. When life throws something hard, they breathe, respond, and move forward. They're not perfect, but they're clear, and that clarity makes them powerful. Now open your eyes. That version of you isn't a fantasy, it's a decision. A decision to stop waiting, stop hiding, stop hoping it changes on its own. You're one choice away, and when you make that choice every day, you don't just change your life, you change who you are in it. The final challenge. Commit to becoming mentally unstoppable. The moment of truth. Decide to stop running and face your shadow now. This is the moment. Right here. Right now. You've got two choices. Keep running or turn around and face your... You already know what happens when you run. The cycles. The pain. The doubts. The breakdowns behind the smile. You've lived that. You've worn that mask. But what if you stopped? What if instead of running, you stood still and faced the part of you you've been avoiding? Yes, it will be uncomfortable. But you've already done hard things. You've already survived the storm. This is different. This is how you rise. Don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for more pain. Make the call today. Say it to yourself. No more running. No more hiding. From this moment on, I face me. Because the only way out is through. Quick recap. Your shadow is power. Daily habits build strength. Truth is your foundation. Let's lock this in. Your shadow. That's not your curse. It's your fuel. All the stuff you thought made you broken. That's where your power's hiding. You don't have to get rid of it. You just have to use it. And how do you get stronger? Daily work. Not once in a while. Not when it's easy. Every single day. Journaling. Reflection. Mindfulness. Speaking truth. When it's hard. That's your mental gym. And at the core of it all, truth. Without it, you're building on lies. You'll keep falling. But when you make truth your foundation, no matter how heavy it holds you up. Shadow. Habit. Truth. That's your path. Walk it with eyes open. No fluff. No pretending. Just the real you finally stepping forward. Own it. Face it. Use it. Rise. Repeat this until it becomes you. Own it. Face it. Use it. Rise. Say it again. Own it. Face it. Use it. Rise. These aren't just words. They're your new way of living. You own what you've been through. You face what's been hiding. You use what once held you back. And you rise. Every time. You don't wait to feel ready. You act. You don't wait for healing to start showing up. You show up to heal. Every time your mind tries to slip, come back to these four. Like anchors. Like weapons. Own it. Face it. Use it. Rise. This is how you rewire your mind. One thought. One choice. One day at a time. Until this isn't just what you say, it's who you are. It won't be easy, but nothing worth having ever is. Let's be honest. This path isn't smooth. You will want to quit. You'll fall back into old patterns. You'll hear voices telling you, this is too hard. But here's what you need to remember. Nothing worth having comes without a fight. You don't grow in comfort. You grow in challenge. In choosing truth when lying would be easy. In facing yourself when escape would feel safer. You want to be mentally strong, then walk the path most avoid. Face the mirror most people cover. It won't be easy, but every step you take, it brings you closer to the version of you who doesn't break under pressure, but builds from. Ask yourself, are you ready to be mentally unstoppable? So here's the final question. Not someday, not next week. Now, are you ready to stop running? Are you ready to stop hiding from the parts of yourself that scare you? Are you ready to wake up and choose truth every day? Are you ready to stop waiting for life to get easier and start becoming stronger? Because if the answer is yes, there's only one thing left to do. Start. Start now. Start messy. Start scared. Just the final word. The only thing standing between you and your unstoppable mind is you. No one's coming to save you. No trick, no hack, no magic formula. Just you, facing yourself, over and over. And that's the truth. The only thing standing between you and your unstoppable mind is you. So move, choose, rise. You're ready. You always have been.